In this video, you're going to practice using your calculator to graph quadratic equations and identify key features. So your equation must be in standard form. We're going to copy the equation exactly the way it is here. Y equals 2x, and we need to come down here, squared plus 8x plus 3. So once you graph that equation, you can see a few points on your graph, and we'll talk about what these other key features are the following day. So let's go ahead and answer on your notes whether this graph opens up or down. Well, obviously your graph is opening up, so you would highlight, circle, whatever your notes or your assignment is asking. And then since we know and we've practiced, since your graph is opening up, you want to be able to identify that this is a minimum value. Since your graph is opening up, it is a minimum. And the value that it's minimum at is going to be at y equals, and when you look here at the lowest point in your graph, it's going to be at -5. So -5 is the max or min value. Your vertex is a point. So when I look at this graph, the lowest point in my graph is going to be at -2, 5. So that's what I'm going to type right here for your vertex. Parentheses, -2, -5. It's always a point. Your domain, looking at this quadratic function, you can't see it, but there are arrows at the end of your graph. It continues on and on and on and on. So your x's are not restricted. So we know that the domain is going to be all real numbers. And the range is going to be based on this y value. So if I look at my graph, I know that my graph is facing up, and it ends at -5 on the y values. All the values above are going to be greater than or equal to -5 because this is a closed circle. So my range is going to be y is greater than or equal to +5. Now let's go ahead and do one more example here on the right side. And again, in order to graph, it needs to be in standard form. So we're going to go ahead and graph y equals -x squared. Once you type in that squared, notice that it does make the parabola for you, plus 2x plus 1. So now when I look at my graph, I can identify the vertex, max or min. We know that this graph is opening down, so we're going to go ahead and answer that first. It's opening down. Excuse me, this keeps on shifting over. We know that since our graph is opening down, that this is a maximum value, and that maximum value will be the highest point of your graph, or the highest y value. So here at the highest point, the vertex is 1, 2, but the highest y value is going to be at 2. So y equals 2. Your vertex is at highest point, and we already identified that to be 1, 2. So you always want to write it as a point. Your domain will be all real numbers, so I will just copy and paste this here. And your range will depend on that, whether your graph is opening up or down. So since your graph is opening down and you look at that y value, the highest point, or the highest y value is going to be at +2, and it's all the y values that are less than or equal to +2. So again, that value comes from your vertex, the y value from your vertex. So y is less than or equal to, and make sure it's equal to, because it's including that y value, +2. Now you can go ahead and complete the slide on your own, following slide.